not just at the state and the local level, that considers first impact on the community and somehow sets a more fair playing field, so we're not always business versus the neighborhood or whatever it is. It's just those two questions.
Well, I mean, answer to your first question in terms of are there people who can help a local community that want to move this direction? There are and there aren't, which is to say, you know, Simone, who works more than full-time on making this happen in Delray, has made herself available to meet with community groups around town and help them develop their skills. I'm in business for myself, and you know, I usually charge by the hour. On the other hand, when there are small neighborhood groups that want advice, I can't really imagine ever saying no or sending a big old invoice. But, you know, and I should not by any means skip mentioning the Sugar Law Center, which got a major grant from the Ford Foundation specifically to help communities on these kinds of issues. D4, Doing Development Differently in Detroit, is a coalition that has come together and is trying to work on some of these issues. So there's all sorts of sort of resources and people with different parts of the puzzle. So on one hand I can say yes, but on the other hand, as I'm sure you well know, there's sort of a squeaky wheel gets the grease phenomenon, and if you have folks in your neighborhood that are willing to keep making the phone calls and say, will you come help with this and will you come help with that, they can get somewhere. But that in itself is a resource that has a lot of demands on it, because they could be spending their time you know, demanding that the police actually show up when they're supposed to, or that the street lights get replaced, or you know, whatever it might be. So, you know, it competes for everybody's time in the same way. On the more positive side, to your second question, the communities that have had success with community benefits agreements, and there have been some phenomenal ones. So, for example, in Los Angeles, when LAX airport was expanded, the coalition that came together there, and again, I want to point out that having unions in the mix made a huge difference on their power base. That coalition was ultimately able to negotiate $500 million worth of community benefits of various sorts. So there have been some great successes. The areas around the country where it's a much more commonly used tool, and where they frankly have more progressive legislatures than ours is, have sometimes been able to build community benefits into their local policy around planning, etc. But I guess what I would say is, even when that's written in, as Angeline was saying, you know, the degree to which any of these requirements of government officials actually has teeth depends on the watchdog capacity of the local folks. Because, and I guess I'm showing some of my own politics here, but as far as I'm concerned, I think business and corporations will always have more power because they have more money. And so what we have to have is more passion and more people and more loud.
We have time for one more question, and then I'll go to you.
Okay, my question is this. This is my comparison. How did we end the war in Vietnam? The business community was over there, but the people, unions, churches, rich, poor, black, white, whatever, everybody came together. The biggest problem I see in this city is that you got the Delray. We should all be Detroiters. I don't see that. You got a group over here, a group over there. The unions are all over. They kick their butts too. So I'm saying, why can't we all come together? It's just too much. We are all Detroiters. I don't understand that. And we're not ready. We got to come together. I don't see it, and we can do it. You stopped the war in Vietnam. So I just don't see east side, west side, we are all Detroiters. Not all of us, but and Detroit supporters.
Amen.
So I'm saying, keep mentioning unions. We got unions, DFT, Detroit Federation of Teachers, right? Then we got the UAW, and we got teachers, we got community, we got east side. Why aren't we all coming together? That's the biggest problem I see. To me, that's our weakness. We do not fight together. And we can't do it because we all get our butts kicked. So why can't we come together? That's our problem, to me. We're not coming together. And we do have unions, we have all over the city. We're in unions. We got youth, we got seniors, east side, west side. But we're not cohesive. We are not pulling together. And that's how we stopped that war in Vietnam, didn't we? A whole war. We gotta all come together. We're not doing it. We gotta do that. It shouldn't be Delaware. I worked in Munger, Chassis, all that, and then we get our butts kicked because we're not coming together. They get a little group over here, they get this group over here, and that's how they kick the unions' butts too. But we all do need to come together. That's the biggest problem, to me.
Benjamin, you want to respond to that?
I just wanted to say, part of it is not knowing what's going on in other areas outside of your community. If maybe we did a better job of communicating with each other, finding out what's going on in this area on the east side or the west side, because as you see, a lot of areas have the same similar challenges, but we need to talk to one another. It's the same thing even in business. People, they have small businesses, they're trying to do things, but people don't know about them because no one's talking. Everybody's in their own little corner trying to work it out. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I agree.
I'm saying, if you get your butt kicked, you better come together. That's what they did. That's what they have a model. We all have to come together. We're not doing it. It's not about, I know we're all, we gotta come together. That's all I can say. I don't see us winning if I was coming all together.
And I think part of it is asking for help.
Yeah.
Sometimes we want to keep it within our own neighbors, our own residents.
That was yesterday. This is a new day.
Yeah, we ask for help.
That was yesterday. The new day, we gotta come together.
Yes.
To me.
I want to thank you all for attending this presentation on CBAs.
Thank you.
Thank you. One last bit of housekeeping. Linda, if you could talk about the event at Mary Grove coming up, and I'll let you close us out.
Good evening, everyone, and I'm not nearly the monster that I reported. Anyway, thank you all for showing up tonight, and I want to thank Curtis and our panel members for their energy and their time. This is the second in a series of dinner and discussions that we have sponsored with the intent of really inviting community in to really start to educate people across the city, not only about the issues and problems which many of us know all too well, but what are some of the strategies and solutions that we can work on together to build power and voice. Everyone knows this is a really critical time in Detroit right now. Lots of development going on, lots of people benefiting, a whole bunch of people being left out of that. And thinking about the Whole Foods market, we probably could have been a lot more effective if we had been at the table a lot earlier. They started working on the Whole Foods deal in 2009. We didn't come to the table until February 2012. And we did the best we could. And I know if people were to look at the work we've done, Show Enough Hope to Die, CBAs, which we didn't do a CBA with them. There was willingness kind of pales in comparison. But we felt it was important for us to get to the table, make as much noise as we could, put as much pressure on them as we could, and try and get something on behalf of the community. And it wasn't something that I did all by myself. There were 15 people who showed up regularly, representing agencies, neighborhoods, soup kitchens, emergency food pantries, who really stood there and kept the pressure on Whole Foods. And so some of them are here in this room, they stood up, others couldn't make it, so it really was a collective effort and an example of what people can do when they come together. Our fight's not over with Whole Foods. They are very complimentary about us, but we're still monitoring and checking with the implementation when that store opens. And so no amount of sweet talk is going to matter. turn by the CEO talking about how I changed his life. We all know better. So y'all know, we know, okay? So, but I do want to say that we're an open group, Equitable Development Coalition, and our motto is development for the common good. Because one of the reasons that we pushed our way to the table with Whole Foods is because there's public money invested. There's not hardly ever, and Sister Ann, who's a city person, can check me if I'm wrong, development that happens in this city and there's not some public money involved. And so we have a stake in it. And so today, when we were at Whole Foods, we reminded them that we had already made a commitment to Whole Foods through our tax dollars.
That's right.
And that we are there, the advisory group, basically to monitor how our investment as citizens is being played out. So, you know, there's a, you know, we can be gracious and thankful that they're here, but there is a balance there. And that's how we speak about our power. We speak about our power through our tax dollars and the use of our commons that we've invested in all these years in Detroit. So finally, I want to bring to everyone's attention this event that we're hosting on June 1st. It's called the People's Platform Convention. And really all it is after about a year and a half of meeting and talking with people across Detroit, really identifying some of the key issues that Detroiters would like to see more engagement around, such as land use and what's going on with our transportation. We're coming together to educate ourselves and get ready for the council by district vote. We think there's a tremendous opportunity to both organize and educate citizens within districts to exercise what power there is for us to have. And we still believe that there's a lot of power in voice and visibility. That our power doesn't end and it's not just concentrated in downtown City Hall, but it lives within us and in our communities and in our relationships with one another. So we invite you all to register. There's no charge. The seating is limited, so if you can. It's June 1st, Saturday, June 1st. And so we would encourage you to join with others in your district. There's been a group of us planning over the last 4 months. We've had representation from all 7 council districts. We think we put together a pretty good program for building skills and learning and sharing together so that we can go back in our communities and get a lot of work done. So that's the People's Platform. And my sister, and here's Gloria Rivera. She wasn't here earlier. She's also a member of the Equitable Detroit Coalition too. Gloria, you have some?
I was at another meeting, and if there is anybody here from District 6, please take one of these, English, Espanol. We are having a couple of meetings, well, one meeting preliminary, so that we're preparing to bring our District 6 kind of mindset and issues to the platform on June 1st. So if you're from District 6, please come. This is the 22nd, next Tuesday. So, and Simone is part of the meeting too. So I'll put it in the back, or if you know somebody from District 6, just take a flyer, please. Thank you.
So again, thank you so much.
Definitely want to thank our folks from Fair
Fair
Food
Food.
Network who
Let's
sponsored
say
this
that.
event.
And again, you're welcome to join the Equitable Detroit Coalition. We meet every other Wednesday at Cannon House. So if you're interested in becoming a member, just put an asterisk by your name on the back where you signed in, and we'll make sure we get you in the email loop. You can come. The only criteria we have is that you have to come representing a constituency, because so often we show up in meetings and we get a lot of good information for ourselves and it goes nowhere. We're really interested in bringing people to the table who can take the word back, whether it's to their church, their beauty shop, their barber shop, their block club, what have you. So you need to be able to stand and say that you're with a constituency group in order to participate. That's the only criteria. And then Curtis reminds me that there's food that's available, and so compliments of Fair Food Network. So I hope do so. So, again, thank you for coming and good evening.